Hey, we're ready to begin with Tennessee. We'll ask Coach Barnes for a couple of general thoughts on the game, then we'll take your questions just for the two student athletes, and then we'll excuse them back to the locker room, and then we'll finish up with questions with Coach. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get one of the remote mics to you. Please remember to identify yourself and the media outlet that you represent when you ask your question. Coach Barnes?
Yeah, first, utmost respect for the University of Texas and Rodney and his staff. And think about it, I think this was the fifth or sixth game where they had their whole team intact trying to play, and they came in here in a very tough situation. And to me, there's no doubt they're an NCAA team, and the fact that he came in here and got them playing the way they were. And for us, we were obviously very concerned about the game because staffs know each other so well. But again, just great respect for the University of Texas and that basketball program, and proud of our guys. You know, we knew it was going to be tough early, and Jemiah Mashak was a guy that I thought defensively set a great tone for us, trying to guard Trey Johnson. He's a terrific player, but that and early Chaz got going, and but overall, good team win for us, and it was hard fought.
Okay, we'll take your questions just for either of the student athletes. If you'll raise your hand, we'll get one of the remote mics to you. Let me start on the second row, far left.
Chaz, is it just home cooking, being back in Nashville, or what got you going early on today?
It was just a mentality coming into the game. I know what my team needs from me, and that's to be aggressive for a full 40 minutes, and that's what Coach has been preaching to me all season long. So just coming in with that mentality to be aggressive for a full 40 minutes.
Other questions for either of the student athletes? Let's go to the center aisle on the inside, and then we'll get you next. No. Did you have a all right, go ahead.
Zakai, obviously last year when you guys were in this tournament didn't go that great. Was that motivation just for you to have a little bit better showing in this thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, last year when we came into this tournament, you know, the first game we wasn't ourselves. You know, we really got out tough, and that was something coming into this game. We knew that if we was gonna lose a game, it wasn't gonna be because we got bullied or out tough. So, you know, that's something that me, josiah-jordan, you know, the guys that was on the team last year, we went through it, and we was preaching to everybody. You know, Coach Barnes was preaching it to us a lot. And, you know, I feel like we went out there and we played a tough game.
Wes Rucker, 24/7 Sports. For Chaz, it looked like early on you'd kind of gotten going. You're on one of those heaters, and then after a timeout, you know, I think you maybe only got one or two shots off the rest of the half. Did Texas do anything differently coming out of that timeout to you, or was it just more attention, or the ball just flowed somewhere else?
Yeah, I think they started guarding me a little bit different. They were really denying me the ball. And then we also saw some mismatches that we wanted to attack, so the coaches did a great job pointing that out. So that was our game plan. We saw some mismatches.
Okay, next question, left side, go ahead.
Hey, Johnny Maffey, Fox Nashville. This is for either of you two. You know, the SEC is such a powerhouse this year. Big matchup tomorrow. How do you deal with that spotlight, you know, before March Madness even gets going?
Well, I feel like, you know, we've been in the spotlight the whole year. And, you know, I feel like the guys, we've all done a really good job of dealing with it. And, you know, we understand that it's a 3-day tournament for us. And, you know, we won a tough game today, but, you know, we got 30 minutes, an hour to really celebrate it and on to the next one. So, you know, we got to have pretty much short-term memory with this, but I feel like we all been in the spotlight at some point all throughout the entire season. So I don't feel like it's anything that's going to be too bright for us, anything like that.
Other questions? Raise your hand. All right, let's come to the second row on the right side.
Ryan Sylvia, Vol Report. Zakai, with Auburn tomorrow, what do you think is going to have to happen for you guys to come out on top?
Really, just go out there and everybody do our jobs. You know, Auburn, they're a really good team. You know, we faced them earlier this season, and you know, like I said, they're a really good team. But if we go out there and every person does our job, and we go out there and be ourselves, it's going to be a really tough game. And I feel like if we all do that, then we're going to be able to come out on top.
Got time for one more question, anyone? All right, let's take the last question on the center aisle.
Wes Rucker, 24/7 Sports. Maybe a sore subject, Chaz and Zakai, but the free throws recently. I know y'all historically have been, both of you have been good free throw shooters. A couple struggles in the past couple weeks. Anything going on there, or just try not to think about it?
Who was that question for?
For Coach Barnes?
You want me to answer it? I can answer it.
No.
Zakai, you go first.
You know, Coach Barnes just kept on talking to me for some reason. Every time I was at the free throw line, and it was kind of distracting me. You know, I don't really hear the crowd, but I hear him a lot. So, you know, he was just taking me out my game. But I just got to focus more and make my free throws. I know I'm a good free throw shooter. I know everybody on the team is a good free throw shooter. But you just got to step up and knock them down.
Chaz.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like he said, we just know we have to be better. That's what the teams need, so we're gonna get it done. Practice on it.
All right, we'll excuse the student athletes. You can return to the locker room.
Thank you.
And we'll finish up with Coach Barnes. So raise your hand if you have a question for Coach Barnes. Raise your hand. Okay, let's go to center aisle, second row.
Rick, do you expect a similar type of game the first go-around with Auburn, low-scoring kind of defense first?
I don't know. Still, it takes a little bit of time to wind down from this one, but great respect for Bruce. And again, you go through this season and only lose 2 games, and in this league, the way it's played out from start to finish with non-league and what the conference play was like, it'll just take a gigantic effort with everybody, like Zakai said, being locked in, because they've got a 10-deep team, an old team, experienced team, a team that's been here, won it, and they got Player of the Year in Janai Broom, but they've got a lot of pieces, and we'll have to be on top of our game.
Raise your hand. Another question for Coach Barnes. All right, let's go to center aisle, third row.
Wes Rucker, 24/7 Sports. Rick, I know we've asked you about this a lot over the years, but playing against Rodney, is that, I know you got a lot of connections in this game and a lot of people that you're close with, and you and Rodney are obviously very close. Are these kind of games just not fun in that sense?
They're not. They're really not. I can tell you through the years we've tried not to ever schedule, guys that we have connection with, like with Rodney and Frank and Rob Lanier and all those, Mike Schwartz now, Kim English, but it's tough because you know what, we won a lot of games at Texas, and those guys were a huge part of it. And I look at them this year. I mean, coming into a new league, it had to be an adjustment for them and Oklahoma, and the fact that both of those teams really at the end of the year are playing high-level basketball. And I know Rodney's team this year struggled with some injuries and really trying to work in a super talent like he had, like he has in Trey Johnson is tough. I mean, both games were hard-fought game, really a couple possessions here or there. But, it's always hard to play against, really you feel like you're playing against your family, and it's tough.
All right, next question, third row, center aisle.
Yeah, Rick, with Chaz, it's probably too simplistic to say, oh, he's replaced Dalton, but he kind of stepped into that role as a transfer and a guy you were going to rely on. How do you feel like Chaz has handled that this season in terms of what he's been asked to do?
Again, great. And again, we didn't talk about him replacing Dalton. We talk about what we needed from him, and the utmost respect for Chad, because he had a chance to go other places, probably do a little bit better NIL-wise, but he decided he wanted to stay home. He wanted to play in front of his, be in his home state, and he's he's very unselfish player. I will say this to you. The difference in the two would be I never had to tell Dalton to shoot. I begged Chaz to shoot sometimes because he is so conscientious of wanting to be just a part of it. And but I think what's helped him as much as any is that we've kind of got another guy that's stepped into a role like Chaz as Jordan Gainey. Both of those guys have made it tough that we get those guys on the flanks out there. It's pretty hard to guard. But and defensively, Chaz has really done a good job buying in on that end. He really has. But for a guy that, again, 1 year here, he's very confident in who he is, but he's a very, very unselfish basketball player, sometimes to a fault. But we never, I don't think any point in time I've compared him to Dalton when we're talking one-on-one, because I'm always comparing those guys to where they want to get at the highest level. And, I will, again, he's just been a great fit for us. He has, because he came in a lot like Dalton with the idea that he wanted to be part of a winning program, winning team, wanted to get to the NCAA tournament. And he's gotten better in the last 2 weeks. I thought he did a great job today, really moving without the ball. He's learned how to set his man up better. He spent a lot of time the last 2.5, 3 weeks. He did it earlier, but even more so, learning to adjust to the way he's being guarded and grabbed and stuff. I mean, he worked hard. He made some really. He's learned how to make 2, 3, 4 cuts, keep himself moving, and harder to guard. But when he's open, he's got to shoot it. And when he's hitting it, it just lights the fire, I think, under everybody.
Okay, next question right here on the front row.
Rick, y'all had a few days off. They were on their third game in 3 days. Did y'all try to take advantage of that with any more tempo or anything? And then a second part, how much does Texas look like an NCAA tournament team to you?
Well, I'll answer the first part. Second part first. There's no doubt. I mean, Texas is an NCAA team. There's so many teams in our league that would win some conferences. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that they did enough coming in. If they again being on the bubble, that whatever people want to talk about, I think they've done more than enough to. I think we should have 14 teams in the NCAA tournament. Is what I think. And what was the first part of the question?
Y'all had some few days rest.
Well, yeah, you worry about it because again, people try to get analytical about, do you want to go and win it? Like last year, we came here and we were pathetic. We didn't come to play, and we played against a team that was angry, needed to win, and we got embarrassed. And but you go back to Texas playing 2 games. We want to play fast anyway, and they do a lot of good things. We felt like they would probably try to get it into a little bit more of a tempo game, which they kind of did that. We wanted to take away. We gave them too many points when we played in Austin early in the year in transition, and we felt like we really had to do a job on Trey Johnson. And the biggest thing was we were going to try to make him really guard. We weren't going to let him just hang out and use all of his energy on the offensive end. But we really took some days off ourselves because we've got guys like everybody this time of year with some things they need to try to get healed up. And you come here with the idea that you really do want to win the tournament, regardless of what pundits say about it. The only thing I can tell you don't want to do is win the tournament, play early on Thursday. That's the only thing you don't want to do. And But otherwise, there's not a player, coach that when they toss it up that doesn't want to win every game they play.
Got time for a couple more questions. I know we got 2 waiting over there, so let's go ahead right on the third row, and then we'll come back to the second row.
Thank you. Coach Joe Dubin, ESPN 102.5 The Game Nashville. As you get ready for Auburn tomorrow, how much do you look back when you 2 guys played, or do you look at the Auburn team from the last few weeks ago? Because both your squad and their squad have improved immensely. How do you do that tonight?
Both. We'll look back and take some things from the game, obviously. But, what's ironic, 10 years ago during this tournament, Tennessee and Auburn were in the play-in game 10 years ago. And so since that 10 years, I would think that we know each other pretty well, And we obviously both teams have grown, and but we'll look back obviously at our last game with them, and it seems like it forever ago. But I do think they're better. I think we're better, and we have the utmost respect for them, and I think they do for us.
All right, last question on the second row. Go ahead.
Steve Lehman, WTVF Nashville. Rick, sometimes there can be concern when it's the first game of the postseason, how your team's going to come out, especially when you're playing a hot team like that. For Chaz to start the way he did, you mentioned Jemai setting the tone defensively, and then Zakai in the second half. How nice is to have veterans like that who will set your postseason tone the way they did?
It is, and we started talking about it a couple weeks ago. We go into the South Carolina game and we say we're approaching this like the first round of the NCAA tournament. I want to get it on our mindset right now where, and you get here, same thing. This is an NCAA tournament type game, and so we talk about it. We put it out there because I want them to feel a little bit of what everybody feels in March, and I thought Chaz was really focused in practice. And again, we didn't do a lot. We do our routine, but we were like yesterday on the court for 45 minutes. Monday we did very little. Tuesday off. Wednesday we practiced an hour and 15 hard. I mean, we always practice hard, but I thought Chaz's focus the whole week has been good. And again, when you talk about Zakai, he mentioned it. He and Shaq and Jordan last year, we walked in here and we were awful. And yesterday when they gathered up after we had practice, they reminded those guys that we're not going to come out and play like that. And we got out tough a year ago. And you heard Shaq or Zakai say, he said, if we lose, it's not going to be because we didn't put the effort in it, because we didn't last year. And we were lucky that we were able to have an NCAA tournament afterwards. But I think winning's a habit. I think losing's a habit. And the mindset is something, the routine that we're in, we try to stay in it, but we try to talk about everything that we know they're hearing out there anyway. But Zakai and Jamal was awesome today. I mean, he was the MVP in the game. I mean, when you got to guard one of the best players in the country, and if I look at it, I think he even outscored him, which is unusual because we don't count on him to do a lot of that. But he was getting fouled early, making his free throws, but he was outstanding in every way today, and I thought it set a great tone for us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.